Hello and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey. VR is really awesome technology. It is so cool, so awesome. It is one of the things in the games industry that is generally very different from everything else. I just recently went to GDC, and for the most part I focused on learning about VR, researching this area. It's something that I've always been interested in, but never quite had the time to do it. So here's what I learned on the state of VR industry. Meta flew me out to GDC to learn about the awesome world of VR and where it currently stands, so this video is sponsored by Meta. I wrote about this in my Game Dev Report newsletter. That's where I write about the latest game dev insights to help you succeed. Like I wrote here, so GDC was last week, and Meta invited me over as part of their Horizon Insiders program, so I spent a lot of time watching talks and researching the current state of the VR industry and development, which was something I was very unfamiliar with. The quick summary is how VR development is easier than ever, thanks to some really awesome tools, and the industry, while still being niche, has a lot of potential for growth in the coming years. This really is my summary of everything that I've seen. Tools are much easier, so if you want to get started with VR, it has never been easier. And the industry, while still being a little bit niche, it is definitely growing, and is potentially expected to grow quite a lot in the next few years. So if you, like me, have been interested in VR but never quite got into it, then maybe now is the time to start looking into it. And also, like I wrote here, so just a quick note, so Meta Horizon and Meta Horizon Worlds, those are two completely different things. Basically, Horizon Worlds is their Roblox-like UGC platform, whereas Horizon is simply their OS that supports their Quest devices and all VR games. This is honestly something that confused me quite a bit. The marketing or branding, I definitely have to say that could be quite a bit more clear. So basically, Horizon Worlds, that's this thing. That's a social platform, kind of like Roblox, kind of like Fortnite. This is just one side of it. And this is something which they have recently announced, how Horizon World is moving from Quest and going almost exclusively to mobile. So some people read this and they interpreted that as basically Meta getting away from VR, but that is actually not the case because Horizon Worlds is different from Horizon. So when it comes to this, the social thing, this one is definitely moving on to mobile and not VR. But Horizon OS itself, that one is still VR focused as always. So despite the confusing names, nope, basically they are not dropping VR. It is only for this specific thing where the focus is switching, but all the Quest devices, the Quest Store, all of the VR games, those are still very much a thing. So first of all, in terms of tools, on that they have actually worked very hard to make things as easy as possible to get started. Personally, I remember a few years ago, I did some very light research into VR development and required a ton of game objects and all sorts of components just to get the camera working in an empty scene. And nowadays, while it still does require a ton of components and game objects, thanks to something called building blocks, it really is as simple as drag and drop to get started. So this part of this really is something that I've improved quite significantly. Now you can really just install the Meta SDK directly inside Unity, and over there you can see this nice window with the building blocks, and you can literally just drag and drop them, and all of a sudden you have camera working, you have touch working, all those things. So in terms of getting started, the tools are definitely much easier nowadays. Like I wrote here, you really just pick something from the list, like a camera rig, drag and drop into the scene, and it automatically adds every game object and every component need to work. Like I said, it still requires a ton of game objects and a ton of components to make it work, but to get started you don't really need to worry about that, really just drag and drop and that's it. Same thing if you want to add hand tracking or pass-through or teleport or grab interaction, all of those are just drag and drop, you press on play and it just works. Compared to how things were just a few years ago, this is definitely quite a bit easier. However, at GDC they actually announced an even easier way to get started. Using Meta AI, you can just describe what you want the scene to be like, and takes actions on your project to set it all up exactly as you want it, all just using natural language. This is something they just showcased, and I don't think there's even video of it online. But basically it uses Unity's AI Gateway, that's their MCP server. Use that so that the AI can actually take actions inside Unity, and you can basically just talk to a chat agent, and to basically use all those building blocks to set up the scene exactly as you want it. So nowadays you've got basically just drag and drop manually, or literally just ask the chatbot. So based on this, I really can't imagine how it could be any easier to get started. And then for testing your VR game, you can test it in editor with the Meta XR simulator for some super fast iteration, or of course you can test on device. Unity has an actual MetaQuest build target. When it comes to making games, iteration speed is obviously very crucial, so it is nice to see that even the tools for iteration speed, even those are improving by leaps and bounds. They also have a simple Hello World tutorial. This one is relatively long, but it's actually all pretty straightforward. Basically just click on this, do this, and that's it. Like I said, VR development is something that I've never done myself, so I'm definitely looking forward to doing some research myself so I can make a nice video, something like getting started with VR development, and that will be a quick video on how you can get started and build some awesome stuff. So that covers the tools, but of course, VR development is you need great tools in order to make great games. But then of course, you also need to monetize those games in order to actually have a viable ecosystem. So on the topic of market size, audience, and future prospects, on that, so basically on the state of the VR industry itself, I attended a talk titled The State of the VR Ecosystem, which is full of interesting stats from the past and estimates for the future. There's detailed blog posts and talk video will be published soon. So if you want, you can go ahead and read this entire blog post to read straight from them. But here are basically my highlights. So 2025 actually saw record usage for Quest VR, despite it being a year with no new hardware launches. And that's actually pretty big news. Revenue is flat, which matches the rest of the industry. And this is definitely pretty big news. Putting on a headset still takes quite a bit more work as opposed to really just launching a game on Steam. So the fact that it saw record usage means that quite a lot of people went through the effort of putting on the headset, and usually you need a reason in order to do that, so usually a new device will do it. So it is pretty impressive that with no new devices, they still saw record usage. And then premium games are still king, while in-app purchase and free-to-play is actually growing. Then over 100 titles have generated over $1 million in gross revenue in 2025. That's definitely a pretty nice amount. However, that's not necessarily just games published in 2025, rather all games for all time. For example, Beat Saber is definitely within those 100, whereas for context, on Steam that number is 363 games published just in 2025, and probably thousands for all time. We can go to the excellent website Gamalytic. This one has a whole bunch of stats on Steam. And over here, if we put the release date on just 2025, then yep, over here, if we look on the 1 million plus, yep, we've got 364. Whereas if I clear this, and you see numbers for the past 20 or 30 years of Steam, if so, then those are actually 4,000. So naturally 4,000 compared to 100. However, this is also revenue of all time, not just revenue for last year. I don't believe over here we can actually do that math. I don't believe we can actually filter by games launched anytime, but only the revenue that they made in the past 12 months. I'm pretty sure we can actually see that data. So that means the number is anywhere between 360 and 4,000. Either way, it's definitely going to be quite a lot higher than 100, but still, for VR, which is actually a pretty niche subgenre of the games industry, it seems to me that 100 games crossing that threshold is a pretty decent amount, and if anything, it definitely means the industry is not dead. $1 million is definitely a serious amount, both for small developers and medium-sized developers, possibly. So that means there are definitely quite a lot of studios in VR doing quite a decent amount of money. Again, technically on Steam, on the whole thing, technically there are quite a lot more. But of course, on Steam, you also have quite a lot more competition. So is that the question, do those numbers actually check out in the end? You've got more competition on Steam, but more potential for revenue. And in VR, it's a more niche thing, so you have fewer competition. So does it still end up being a net positive? I actually don't know. Like I wrote here, I did try to find out just how viable is VR as an indie game business. And sadly, I couldn't really get much of an answer since Meta is very secretive about numbers. Technically, a lot of VR games are available on both the Meta Quest Store and on Steam, so we can look at Steam numbers. And something like Gun Club VR has 700 reviews with an estimated revenue of $650K. This is honestly one of my favorite VR games. It is a really awesome gun simulator. It is super cool, and yep, over here we can see they have about 700 reviews, published in 2018. I believe this is one of the biggest hits of VR, but not necessarily the biggest hit, so I think this is a good relative game to look at. And this one, again, 700 reviews, and based on Gamalytic, that equates to about $650K in gross revenue, or about 60K units sold. But of course, there's just Steam only, whereas like I wrote here, so the leader in this space is definitely the Quest, but by how much? That is a good question, nobody knows. So are Quest Store sales 2 times that of Steam, or is it 10 times? No one knows, so it's hard to get an estimate for just how viable VR might be as a business. So that's the question. So this game, so based on Steam, the estimate is that they made about 600K in gross revenue. So if the Quest Store is 2 times the size, then does that mean they made about 1.2 mil on the Quest Store? So in total they made about 2 mil? Or is the Quest Store about 10 times? So in reality they made about 6 mil, so in total they made about 7 mil. Like I said, I don't think there are any numbers. So on Steam, you can look at review counts and you can basically guesstimate revenue based on that. In case you don't know how to do that, I actually made a video exactly on that topic, basically how you can estimate how much money a game made on Steam. You basically just apply a multiplier to the Steam revenue count, and you can basically get a rough estimate for how many sales that game made. But I don't know if there's such a multiplier for the Quest Store. So over here on this one seems to have 5.6 thousand reviews. That is quite a lot. So technically, if the multiplier is the same, and over here this one is estimated to have sold 60,000 copies based on 700 reviews, we can do 60,000 divided by 700 reviews, and we can get a multiplier of about 85. So technically, if we then take 5,600 reviews and multiply it by 85, then perhaps it sold 500,000 copies on the Quest Store? If the multiplier is the same, maybe. So if that's the case, at a price point of between $10 and $20, so let's say times 15, so did this one make about 7 million on the Quest Store and about 600K on the Steam Store, meaning for a total of about 8 mil? Again, no idea if any of these numbers are accurate, but the fact that over 100 titles have generated over 1 million gross revenue, that is definitely a very nice positive number. Then another way that developers have for making money in VR is basically Meta Horizon Plus. So this one is a service that I did not know existed. It is basically a sort of Netflix for games where you pay a monthly subscription and get access to 2 games per month, plus access to a back catalog. Like I said, I did not know this existed. It actually comes with a 3-month trial whenever you purchase a Quest. So that's a great way to get new players to actually try out all these sorts of games. For basically $8 a month, you get monthly drops and you get 100 titles accessed right away. And looking at the catalog, these are actually generally great games. For example, you get access to Beat Saber, so that alone, I would say it's definitely worth it. So you get access to climbing games, gun games, simulator games, you get some Angry Birds, you get some more casual stuff, some sports stuff, some shooting stuff. So you have actually quite a lot of things. And like I wrote here, so this service is actually also much bigger than I thought, with over 1 million active subscribers. This is definitely a pretty robust amount. Again, keep in mind how VR is quite niche, so having 1 million people paying every single month, That is a pretty big achievement. And of course, all that money that gets pooled and then eventually paid out for developers. So like I wrote here, so developers are paid out based on usage and minimum guarantees. So over here, in total, they have had over 1 million subscribers, over 100 games, and paid out 20 millions to developers just last year. And importantly is how they state how the goal with this program is to make it sustainable and profitable for developers. Unlike something like Game Pass, where some developers have voiced concerns over how viable it is to give out hundreds of games to millions of people for $1 a month, and the fact that Game Pass is now much more expensive kind of proves the point that it is unsustainable. So I'd say it's a good thing how with this program, they're actually trying to focus on making something sustainable that works for both players. They get a ton of games at a low price, but also works for developers. It's basically a secondary income stream so they can get more money for their games, and specifically more older games. That is something they also talk about, which is if you're already a VR developer, there is an option to submit your game, although it is an intentionally small curated service, so the requirements are actually relatively high. You can see them in this page where they mention, for example, requiring an average of 15K monthly revenue and at least 1 year old. So yep, here's the page and the criteria for being eligible. You've got 2 tiers, so basically the monthly titles and the indie catalog. And for me, the 2 interesting things are really the 50K monthly revenue, 50K over here, and average between 50 and 50K for the indie catalog. But then importantly, 12 months or more since first published on the Horizon Store. So like I said, this is very much meant to be a secondary income stream and not the primary one. So this is intentionally not meant to have games on day one, intentionally to make the service actually sustainable. So this is something for basically after your games have run their initial course, you can put them on this program and get a bit more extra revenue. The fact that they're focusing this program to be sustainable for both developers and players, I think that's a very good thing. So in general, the state of VR this past year and in the present is how it's actually pretty solid. VR is not growing by leaps and bounds, but it is also definitely not dying, slow but steady growth. And as for the future, this is where things get interesting. It is no surprise that Meta has VR devices in development. Nothing has been officially announced yet, but there have been rumors about a Quest 4 alongside a lighter version. So in a recent interview, the Meta CTO kind of confirmed how the Quest 4 is definitely still on the roadmap. It was based on some internal Meta memos that leaked, where he basically said, so I think it's officially leaked that we've got 2 devices in the roadmap that we're super excited about coming out over the course of a period of time. The rumors are how the Quest 4 will be coming out either later this year on 2027, and will definitely be a higher end premium thing. And beyond that, there's going to be an ultra lightweight headset, potentially coming out this year. And then of course, there is a potentially huge event happening in the VR world soon, so the Steam Frame won't be released. Considering how the Valve Index sold millions of units, and the Steam Deck sold even more, there's potential for this new device to open up VR to an even bigger audience. So you have Valve re-entering the VR industry. That is definitely going to be big news. This could potentially expand the VR market by quite a bit, or perhaps it could be the Apple Vision Pro, so basically just comes out and really just flops and doesn't really move the needle too much. Either way, a new device coming out is definitely going to be big news. Then in terms of audiences, they see 3 distinct groups of VR users that each want different things. So we've got the VR elites, we've got teens and youth, and then we've got mainstream adults. So for all of these, for the VR elites, these are the hardcore VR players that have bought every single device on day one. They want serious games to play with controllers and lots of activity. This audience has been pretty static over the years. This is basically the audience that they expect would grow over time, but has actually not been the case. That is part of the reason why VR hasn't really grown insanely like some people expected. The audience of really hardcore VR users, that one has stayed pretty stable over the years. However, then we've got teens. So these are actually the most active audience currently using the Quest. Many of them playing games like Gorilla Tag, which has at one point reached over 3 million monthly active users. That's an insane amount in general, but even more insane for VR. Again, those are definitely quite insane numbers. They would be insane for regular games. A regular Steam game getting 3 million monthly active users, that's a pretty massive amount. And something in VR that makes it even more insane. So yep, this game is definitely a massive mega hit. And apparently it is super popular with teens. And these teens enjoy fun games to play with friends, and they are mostly VR native, and therefore don't have many issues with locomotion or controls. That's actually a great thing of having a large amount of players, where they don't really get nauseous just because they're used to using VR basically for their entire lives. And this is also the audience that will grow in age over time and might become VR elites who will one day consume more R-rated games. So the assumption, the theory, is that these teens, this is currently a pretty sizable audience of the market, and this will eventually transition into VR elites. So those more hardcore games, those might actually get more sales over time, as basically teens become adults. But the most interesting audience is actually the third one, so it is the mainstream adults. So this is the audience that is currently tiny, but Meta thinks will grow massively in the coming years. These are people who buy a headset mainly as a virtual TV, just watch some football game or a movie. They just want to chill and sit around, no setting VR for them, and importantly, they do not want controllers. Instead, they prefer hand tracking because it is simpler. The image is really very much just an adult sitting on the couch, really just watching TV. So they're not standing, they're not flailing their arms playing Beat Saber or something like that. They really just want very simple things. Mainly they want entertainment in movies and a little bit of mid-core games, and they will be finding a lot of their games through Meta Horizon Plus. This is the audience that is expected to increase massively as VR goes more and more mainstream, which means for you as a developer, you need to consider if you should be designing your games more for hand tracking and sitting, as opposed to controllers and standing. This is definitely going to be a very interesting thing when it comes to VR development. If they are correct, if this audience is really going to grow massively over the coming years, if so, then technically as a developer, it would probably be smart to start designing your games more with this audience in mind. Start thinking about what kinds of games can you make mostly with hand tracking and with sitting, as opposed to things like Beat Saber or Gun Club VR, where it is very much meant to be standing, doing lots of motion, and using controllers. Thankfully, hand tracking is actually very good nowadays. The tech is definitely very impressive, how really with just the cameras can actually track your hands in real time. But of course, it is a completely separate input device. So that is why I said, so basically developers, if you agree with Meta that these are going to be the biggest audience in the future, if so, then definitely need to think about that in the design of your own games. And if that audience does become massive, then being one of the first developers to make games that are really meant to be controlled with your hands, that might actually give you a very nice boost if and when this theory actually does happen. And basically in terms of marketing, so most users who come to the Quest store already come with the intent to buy something they saw on social media. They do not browse the store. So TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, those are very much the most important marketing platforms. So this is kind of different from Steam, whereas on Steam you actually get a very sizable amount of the audience that is pretty much just organic. There's a lot of people that really just go on the store and they really just buy whatever shows up on there. Whereas on the MetaQuest store, the organic player base is really not quite there. So if you're making VR games, store optimization is definitely important, definitely always a very important thing. But more important is actually doing marketing outside of the store, so that players see your game, they want to buy your game, then they go to the store and directly just buy it. So all in all, it seems VR is actually in a decent place right now. It is not growing like crazy, but it's also not dying. Meta is still invested in VR, and Valve is about to give it another push, and maybe Apple will try it as well in the future. There really aren't many numbers on what the average game makes, so I don't know just how viable it is for an indie developer to make VR games. Technically, you have less competition than Steam, but also a much smaller install base. So do those numbers end up being a net positive or not? Maybe I need to do some more research on the viability of VR as a platform. So yep, this is what I was saying a while ago. So technically, you've got less competition. If I go on the MetaQuest store page and I filter, let's sort by release date, and let's also sort these show coming soon games. So let's actually sort by star rating, just make sure they do have star rating, which I'm guessing means that they are actually released. And over here, so this game, World Quest, this one came out February 19th, so about a month ago. And this one is right here. So we've had about 12 games published in the last month. Whereas on Steam, if you search by games, you can keep scrolling down over and over again. And yeah, I'm guessing you've got, I think it's about 1,000 games every single month. So on one side, you've got about 12 games. On the other side, you've got about 1,000 games. So the 1,000 games part, that one definitely has quite a bigger audience. But you're competing with 1,000 games. Whereas on the other one, you've got much smaller audience. But technically, you're only competing with about 12 other games. So is that viable for indie devs? Like I said, I really don't know. But regardless of financial results, VR is still magical. It has been a few years since I touched VR, but when Meta sent me a Quest 3S, I went back to it and there is really nothing like it. Beat Saber continues to be one of the most impressive experiences I've ever had. It's fun and physical. Super Hot is really just straight up cool. And just browsing the store, I can see tons of awesome stuff that I never heard about but definitely want to explore. The headset actually came with Batman Arkham VR, I definitely need to play it. So if just browsing the store, there are definitely quite a lot of things that seem super cool that I definitely did not know about because I really don't follow VR. But now that I've got a new headset and I'm definitely more interested in doing VR development, I definitely want to look into a bunch of these. Are you doing VR development? Or are you interested in VR development? Like I said, I definitely want to make some VR development tutorials, so stay tuned for those in the near future. And like I wrote here, I'm definitely curious to see the reaction when I publish some VR videos. Will the views be 1/10 the usual because it's a very niche area? Or will they actually be higher because a lot of people are interested in VR? So yep, I have no idea, but I'm definitely curious to find out. VR is really magical and amazing. It definitely allows you to make games that would not be possible otherwise. So yep, thanks so much for Meta for flying me out to GDC so I could learn about this really awesome industry and sending me a Quest 3S so I can actually start making some tutorials on this area. Thank you for watching, I hope you found this informative, and I'll see you next time.